So last Sunday, after our wonderful celebration together, instead of getting to go to Jordan's concert, which I understand was phenomenal, and I was so sorry to miss it, but instead I had already signed up to help the bishop, who had asked any person from the diocese that was available to help her with a fund drive that they were having for KPBX, the public television station. I've never done anything like this before. It was a little unnerving. I had to quickly, not just figure, it was old computers, and I had to figure out how to scroll down and ask the right questions, and then had these headgears, and they kept telling me in the back, Linda, you don't have the mic down, just put it down. And so I was a little nervous, and then I had to translate. There's a number of stations in Canada, so they were calling, and so I had to, make sure. So amidst all of that, I'm sitting right next to my bishop. And so there were a lot of downtime. This was 3 to 8 o'clock, and so we'd just be sitting there. So, what do you say to your bishop for like how many hours? And so finally I said, well, Lent's coming up. How's Lent sounding for you? How's it doing? And she just looks at me and she says, Lent is a time of joy. And I just let it go with that. I didn't want to probe. It's like, no, that's not what comes. My idea of Lent is you give up, you give up, you give up. Doesn't sound like joy. So I let that go, but then I went and then I started looking at a number of websites, and I thought maybe I need to update, It's like, maybe I'm not with it. So I did find some interesting new ideas about Lent, and that's what I want to share with you. I was on 2 particular websites, and one was from the Anglican Church in Scotland. And I'm going to be giving you, you have in your bulletins the website, and I invite everyone to check that. It's like that church is way good. They are doing good things. So I was very pleased because the challenge that came from them was this. They said, we need to leave the earth and its fragile climate a better place than it now bodes to be for our children and for our grandchildren. Now, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that nothing could be more joyful, not just for me, but for us. Like you, I want our children and our grandchildren to live in a healthy, peaceful climate. And whatever I could do, whatever I might do to make that happen, is indeed something that brings joy. But here's the other side. I know this about myself. For me, perhaps like you, change is hard. It takes focus and clarity and energy and determination and discipline. I don't know about you, but those words are like the boogeyman under the bed. I especially that last one. They don't wake me up each day thinking, oh, this is going to be a joyful day. Learning new habits, changing my ways. So that leads me to the fact that change, if it is to happen, needs to be done not just in general, but with God and with you. This is exactly why the Jesus movement is so important at this time. I was talking to Chuck earlier this week, and he was telling me about stuff he's read about climate change and the like, and he said, the book I read said no matter what we do, it's not going to make any difference. And I thought to myself, I don't think that person has talked to God yet. With God's help, and with the courage and the energy that it takes to make joyful changes together, change can happen. So that's just how important it is for us to link arms now with God and with each other, to take on this issue of climate change together. Now, in his fabulous book, which I would highly recommend, it's called Climate Change, or Climate Church, Climate World, How People of Faith Must Work Together for Change. You know, this might be just our call at this time of history. The church is called to different responses at different moments of history. This might be our call. Listen to some of his words. He says this, he says, for the past 10 generations, humanity has been engaged in a dangerous experiment, testing whether the earth that is now entrusted to our care can sustain a substantial increase in population, consumption, waste, and material aspiration. Human beings have always resisted limits, as the biblical stories of Adam and Eve and the ancient builders of Babel teach us. We have lived as if unlimited growth is possible, as if we can drill, mine, drain, burn, excavate, and consume to our heart's content. If problems arise, we have trusted that the marketplace would magically keep care of everything. And later on, he says this, one of the ways I get at this is by pointing out that every person on the planet, along with every creature, is our neighbor. Because the distinctions between this neighborhood and that one, this country and that one, are insignificant compared to the fact that we all breathe the same air. I like to say, he says, that we all live at the same address. Our common address is, as I write this, 407. That is 407 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. And then I add one more thing. This place in which we are living, this place with the number 407 emblazoned on every door and dwelling, this place is no longer home. Home is a place where the number on the door is 350 or less. Home for Mozart, Mary, and Joseph, and even the earliest humans living in caves was even less. Their address was 275. Yet, by the time my grandchildren reach my current age, their address will likely exceed 450 as a result of what scientists are calling committed warming or climate lag. This is likely to become the frightening reality even if this very day we were to close every coal plant, immediately stop burning gas and oil, and instantly trade in our gas-powered cars for bikes. Just taking in these statistics is frightening. These new realities are sobering, and not just sobering, but depressing, overwhelming. I don't know about you, but it tempts me. It tempts me to give up. And I might even do that if I was all alone, if I didn't have you, and if I didn't believe in God. I might just be tempted to give up. But because of you, because of God, Instead of asking, oh, how's this going to affect me? I now find myself asking, how can I help not only my grandchildren, but how can I help my neighbors to thrive? How can we build a more resilient community? What changes do we need to make so that generations to come are more likely to inhabit a habitable world? That seems like the making of a challenging, joyful Lent. So I referred you to the website, which is found there. They offer 6 possibilities. The ideas that are on the website are just beautiful. The one that's calling to me, that is definitely a challenge, is to limit my use of single-use plastics. And so I started that this past Ash Wednesday, and I'm telling you, it's hard. I had no idea, but at least I'm becoming aware. They have others, like ride your bike to work. Well, that's not going to happen in Spokane, okay? But maybe we make less trips. Maybe we consolidate. Maybe we share our rides. Giving up meat. Well, I'm not at the vegan place yet. Bacon is pretty much gonna happen. But I am gonna let go of beef. I can do that. So all of us can do something. Finally, they say give up electricity for an hour every day. Use that for the hour that you meditate and pray. Another wonderful, wonderful resource that I do want to mention is this invitation. This is from the bishop. She is encouraging us all to use this Living the Way of Love. Beautiful resource for Lent. And I would highly recommend that for your daily prayer as well. So, we have this challenge. Why is this important? Well, because 500 million straws are used every day, 1 million plastic bags every minute. The amount of bubble wrap produced annually could wrap around the equator 10 times. The average household makes 1 ton of waste every year. This Lent is about recognizing our climate is not just an activity, not just something for Lent, but it needs to be a lifestyle. I am inviting all of us to become a community who will respond to the call for climate action by making significant personal commitments to change our lifestyle for the climate. Each Sunday, I'm going to invite different people, if they would please stand and tell us what difference you're trying to make. We're not going to be perfect, but we are going to try. I encourage us, I challenge us to change our lifestyles for the climate. The next 40 days is a start. And I'm just saying, Easter is going to be phenomenal. Amen.